Hey guys, how's it going? I'm out here in one of my local ponds doing some fishing, and I'm going to show you guys the 5 best lures you can use for early season bass, and I guarantee this will work if there's fish around. So as you guys can tell, this lake has, or this pond rather I guess, has just thawed out. There's still ice maybe 30 feet, 40 feet out, and I'm going to do my best to cast around it. But the first lure I'm going to show you today is a blue buzzbait. So because it's overcast and the water's kind of a little bit cloudy, I'm going to be using blue, darker color to mimic the water. But I'm going to be using this buzzbait. So this is a buzzbait by Strike King. It has trailer hook on the back, which is great, and it has this nice blue buzzer, bow spinner. So let's do some fishing. So guys, when you're fishing this, you want to retrieve it relatively slowly. Early season bass in particular are very, very picky what they eat. They're going to be very slow, inactive, trying to pick up some easy meal. So you want to make sure your retrieval speed is really slow. You keep it down so that spinner spins the water, makes that lure look real. For this lure, guys, the lure's going to work itself. It's buzzing that little spinner bait, that little spinner blade. It's hitting the water and it's buzzing around, so it's going to work itself. So for the most part, you don't have to worry about jerking it or trying to keep it at a certain depth. All you gotta do is just retrieve slowly, keep it below the water surface so it doesn't make too much splash, and you guys are all set. So guys, I'm trying to cast the lure right out to that water's edge because the fish are gonna be looking to see if anything falls off that ice. Another thing I'm trying to do is cast right along the shore. Sometimes the bigger bass, like I said, right along the shore and just wait for something to swim by. So we're gonna see if that works here. So guys, another technique you might want to use when you're using the this buzzbait is to change the retrieval speed. Go a little fast, and slow it down, speed up again, slow it down. Especially when you're going over rocks or if you know there's any structure you're going over, because the bass see that and they see this fish moving, and if they see it speed up, they think that it's running away. They don't want that to run away. Alright you guys, the next little bait I have here is a square bill crankbait by Excite. Again, I'm using kind of a dark color because it's kind of a dark day. But besides that, this is something that you guys wouldn't usually think of when you're first fishing, especially early season, because usually the bass are really, I guess what they're like, they don't really want to go hunting. They don't want to move. They're really slow, kind of lethargic. But believe it or not, guys, this is actually, especially if there's some bass, they're just hungry. This is a great lure to use early season. So let me give it a shot. Alright guys, so when you're fishing the chatterbait, usually I keep my rod tip pointed out, so that way I can feel all the little tips and bumps, and that way it also keeps off the bottom a little bit. Another thing I'd recommend is just slow retrieval. That way, again, it keeps off the bottom, and the lure is doing the work. You don't have to worry about you don't really have to worry about it. So guys, a nice steady retrieval for right now will do it, especially because the bass, I mean, even if they are hungry, they're going to be slow. That's just a fact. I mean, the fact of it's only March, so they're going to be slow. So you guys gotta be patient with it. Alright guys, so when you're fishing this the crankbait, typically you want to have a nice slow retrieval and keep your rod tip out. That way you can feel the little bumps, and I guess almost every single time the crankbait moves side to side, you can feel it. Also, if you get any bites from fish, you can feel it, and that way also when you keep your rod up, it keeps it off the bottom of the water, so that's important. And then usually a slow retrieval is good because it can keep it off the bottom as well. Alright guys, right now, because the weeds are just killing me on this bait, I'm actually kind of holding the rod tip up like this, so you can see it, and there's even slower retrieval, so that way it can still do its job and swim, but not get caught in any of the weeds that are down near the bottom. Yeah. Alright guys, lure number 3 I'm going to show you is this blue and black jig I have right here. It's a fixed hook style, so the hook's not going to move. It's also weedless, which is great for scenarios right now where there's just a ton of weeds. The way you want to fish is this, especially right now, because these fish are down near the bottom. The water is a little bit warmer down there. Is you almost want to drag it along the bottom. It's gonna, I don't know if you can see it, but it's gonna go right through all those weeds and all through the leaves too, and it's gonna create a little mess. And the bass are gonna see it, and they're gonna go right for it. And another great thing about jigs is you can cast them really far. Alright guys, so first I'm going to show you how I'm going to fish jigs. I'm going to kind of lift it up a little bit, then let it back down and reel the slack line in when I let it down. Lift it up, and it down, up, and then I'm going to reel the slack line and it goes down. So that way it's almost just jumping up and down off the bottom. And if a bass sees that, especially now when, I mean, they don't want to work too much, and it's just a free, easy meal, and they're going to go right for it. So, also another thing you got to get in mind is how deep your pond is, or your lake, or wherever you're fishing, because that can be an influence on it too, because you're going to want to be a little slower if your pond's a little smaller, like this one is right here. Alright guys, so another way you can fish your jig is you can just kind of just bounce it across the bottom, like this, bounce. That way it's going to bounce right through the weeds, and especially if a weedless jig like this, it's going to go right through it. It's going to like through it like a knife like butter. So, just bounce up and down. The bass sees it, they're going to go crazy. They see that free meal on the bottom, and they go nuts. So that's probably one of the better ways to do it, because if you have a nice jig that's not going to catch your weeds, or your bottom's nice and sandy or muddy, and you can kind of kick up some mud and get the bass attention, that's definitely going to work really well. Alright you guys, so lure number 4 I'm going to show you is a chatterbait. So here I have the, I think this is the Z-Man chatterbait. Let me get a better view of it. There you go. So basically, there you go. Basically it's a, almost like a jig, but the hook's a little larger. It's usually not covered by anything. It's no weed guard or anything. It has a small metal blade in the front of it, which actually kind of, it almost like buzzes. It makes a little noise that the fish seem to love. So similar to the crankbait and the buzzbait, all you're going to do is just retrieve this straight. You can jig it, actually you can bounce it and jig it. It is good for that. This is probably my favorite one because it's the most versatile lure. And then for the most part, it's a great church bait too. If you're looking around and you want to kind of scan the area real quick, looking for fish, this is a great one to use because it's easy to use, it's fast, and you can kind of mess around. You can go low, go high with it, and it will do whatever you need to do. Alright, so guys, when you're retrieving this, you're going to retrieve it relatively slowly. You want to leave your rod tip usually down, and you want to feel the bumps. You want to be able to feel that chatterbait at the end of your line. You're going to feel it making some almost like vibrations at the end of your line. And that's how you're going to know. You're going to know that you have your lure on and that it's swimming correctly. Also, I forgot to mention, but on the jig and this bait alike, you can put small trailers on them, little crawdads, crawfish, anything that will give the bait a little more enticing look, I guess. Some soft plastics are definitely a great addition to any jig or chatterbait, or pretty much almost any bait that you can put it on. Another great thing about using these lures I'm showing today is that, oh, I swear to God, that might have been a fish. But anyways, another great thing about using these lures today is the fact that they're easy to cast. I mean, I'm not great at casting these bait cast reels, but they are pretty easy to cast. I can get it pretty far out there, which is great. And I mean, usually the fish aren't even that far out though. So just the fact that I can get it 30-40 feet off the shore is great. Alright guys, so the last bait I'm going to show you is these Gary Yamamoto Senkos. This is the 5-inch, this is the watermelon black red. With these I'm going to use these small, these mustad hooks. These are size 1. These I'm going to be wacky rigging them. So I'm actually going to put this hook right through the jig. So let's go ahead and tie this on. Oh jeez. Alright, so guys, when you're hooking up your Senko or your wacky rig, you're going to want to find about the center of the bait, so about here or so. Just take your bait, your hook, just go right through it. There you go. Right through there. And so that way when it's swimming, you're going to cast it out, and when it starts sinking, you can start jigging it up and it'll bounce like this. So it bounces, it goes up and down like that, and it kind of looks like a funny worm. So we're going to use that right now. And guys, this is the last one I'm going to show you. This is, in my opinion, probably your best bet, especially how early it is now, because the bass, they don't want to do much. They're kind of, like I said, they're kind of slow, kind of lazy. And this bait, let's watch, it just slowly sinks down to the bottom. And then when you jig it back up, it looks like a worm. It looks like a worm coming from the ground. So this is one of your best bets, in my opinion, especially for early spring bass. So guys, when you're fishing this, you're going to cast it out and probably wait about 10 seconds or so for it to get on the bottom. It'll sink pretty slowly, but I'd give it at least 10 seconds to get down there. And then once it gets down there, you're going to want to bounce it up like this. So that way it looks like the worm is kind of retreating to the surface. And that's usually when the bass kind of see it. They kind of go, ooh. And then, same thing. So let it drop again. This is kind of one of the slower baits you're gonna be fishing if you're fishing it wacky style, because you're just gonna keep going up and down. So there's another thing important about fishing the Senko and wacky rig wise. You're not gonna be able to see when you fish when the fish takes the bait, so you're almost gonna want to watch your line. So when your line straightens out, that's usually when you have the fish on. That's usually when you're gonna pull up the rod and want to try to hook it. So that's really the most important thing. Probably the most important thing when you're fishing this thing, because you want to make sure you know when you have fish on. I will say one of the bad things about using the Senko is that when it's really windy out, it's not really windy out now, but when it is really windy out, it's kind of hard to cast it. For the most part, you don't need to get out too far, but when it is windy out, you're going to have a hard time casting it. Otherwise, it's just great. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope this helped. It certainly was cold out today, and it's definitely the beginning of the season, so you're going to learn a lot more, obviously, but I hope you can use these 5 lures to get some more fish, and yeah, good luck.